London.
Great. So let's get started. Sorry about the delay. We had some technical issues, as usual, in the 21st century with Zoom. So good morning, good afternoon, evening, everyone, depending on your location, and thank you for joining us today. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Rachel Menn, the founder of Women Connect, your host for today's webinar. We help tech companies link its growth strategies with a social purpose that aligns with its company goals, values, resources, and brand. A part of our profit goes to our initiatives that advocate equality, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Through our work, we aspire to create a more sustainable world and equitable society. And before we begin, I'm going to share today what we will cover. What is crypto and blockchain technology? To build a diverse and inclusive blockchain. What is NFT? Invest in cryptocurrency and NFT. How to apply blockchain for business. What is Web3 and how to become a Web3 developer. And a small disclaimer. This session is only for knowledge sharing. We are not financial advisors or tax attorneys. This is not for any investment or legal advice. Crypto and token investments are very risky. Please do not invest in anything that you don't understand. So let me stop sharing. And so I can see all of your pretty faces. And I would love to hear from all of you the reason why you're here so we can adjust the questions according to what the audience want to learn today. So I'll be sharing the first poll. It would be great if you could participate. Can everyone see the poll?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's give it a couple more minutes. I see some people joining us. Great. So majority of people would like to gain basic knowledge of crypto and blockchain, and 26% want to start investing, which is great. 33% wants to apply blockchain for business. 19% wants to become a free developer. 48% wants to create a more diverse and inclusive blockchain, and 14% doesn't know. Great. So hopefully after this webinar, you will know why you're here. So let me get started. So the goal of this webinar is to bring more awareness of all the benefits that this technology has to offer in order to achieve a more diverse and inclusive blockchain. We hope you could still stay till the end, as we will have a giveaway for you at the end of the webinar. And next, I want to welcome our three speakers of today and share their amazing work in diversity and equity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion in blockchain. Lavinia Osbourne, founder of Women in Blockchain Talks, who has a goal to bring 50,000 women into blockchain by 2023. Niharika Singh, product manager of Decentology, who collaborates in initiatives to train more female Web3 developers. And last but not least, Lamar Gheljai, co-founder of Borderless Blockchain Alliance that empowers people with emerging technology skills to access equal opportunities. Welcome to our speakers.
Thank you for having me, Rachel. Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
And before we dive into the questions, I want to share a couple of reasons why Women Connect set up this webinar for more people to understand the basics of crypto and blockchain, especially women and marginalized groups. First and foremost, I aspire more people to achieve financial freedom through investing. I aspire that everyone, especially women, will consider accepting jobs that might get paid in crypto in the near future to avoid a bigger gender gap in jobs. And I also aspire for small nonprofits and nonprofits in developing countries to know the benefits of receiving crypto donations so they can save in turn. And for people who donate money, have you ever wondered where your donation goes, especially in countries with corrupt governments? If you make donations in crypto, you will now exactly know how it's been distributed. And women make up 70% of global donations in the world, so it's very important to encourage more women to learn about this technology. And on top of that, I aspire that providing educational information on crypto and blockchain will overshadow the negative news that you hear from the media that causes distrust and skepticism. So without further ado, let's start having a better understanding about this technology by asking Lavinia a question. Welcome again, Lavinia. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and what is cryptocurrency and blockchain technology?
Hey, so, you know, I'm just your normal Jane. You know, I'm just an everyday person who fell into this space. So I'm not a technologist. I'm an entrepreneur. If I was to describe myself, I'd describe myself as an entrepreneur. I love educating people and I love letting people see their potential. For a very long time, I was a financial well-being coach and consultant. So I wasn't selling people financial products. I was more getting them to look at their relationship with money, particularly women, and how they can improve their financial well-being in order to have more, be more, and do more. And that's how I fell into this space, blockchain. Well, it was, first of all, I was hearing about Bitcoin, and we're going back to 2016. At the time, I heard about it, but I didn't have anyone to really show me how to purchase. Who knows where I'd purchased Bitcoin in 2016. It was quite convoluted. You needed to be like a hacker or, you know, very deep into the tech. And like I said, I didn't know anyone at that time. So I was like hearing about Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Then I started hearing about blockchain and I thought blockchain was Bitcoin and I didn't understand. And then I started to understand that there is a difference. And then when I started hearing more about blockchain and blockchain for good, SDGs, the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals from the UN, it just really got my gut. And I was like, wow, what is this technology? What is it about? How can I learn more? And I thought to myself, well, let me see if I can get a job with a startup within the space. And I was fortunate enough to do so. And that was the beginning of my journey in blockchain. And I just fell in love with the whole tech, the whole ideology of the tech, and the fast pace of being in a startup. You know, it really spoke to the entrepreneurial element of me. So Women in Blockchain Talks was started for a number of reasons. One reason was because a lot of the events I was going to, attending, other people attending, you know, it was just all men. And it would be like, well, where are the women? Why aren't women on stage? And the answer was, well, we don't know where the women are. And it was like, well, that's rude. Let me help you. So I decided to put together I decided I was going to be the Oprah of blockchain and interview 2 dynamic women a month from within the blockchain space. And there are many dynamic women, including individuals such as Rachel, Niharika. You know, there's so many wonderful women from back then, now, who are making, because this space is still nascent, where it's still small, we're still at the beginning, and blockchain is a niche technology. You know, when you think of other elements of tech, we're still small. We're getting bigger, definitely. Small and mighty, I like to say. But you know, I think we're still at the beginning, and there's a lot of work to be done. And I think we're a more conscious society. And so things like inclusivity and diversity is extremely important, because we want more equity. And if you think about what blockchain stands for, it stands for transparency, trackability, traceability. So that, and also removing the middleman. It's about decentralization rather than centralization. It stands for equity, because if you're removing the middleman and you have more transparency, there is more opportunities for others to take equity in this space. It's just a question of how, when and who, like who do you follow? How do you get into this space? And for a lot of women, or just ultimately tech and finance, it is still very male dominated. And it is what it is. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. It is what it is. But with blockchain, we have the opportunity to have more women lead from the front rather than chasing from behind. So Women in Blockchain Talks, as I stated, the objective was to bring more women, or showcase, shine a spotlight on more women, dynamic women leaders in the blockchain space. And by doing that, you know, show other women that there are women in this space, and representation matters. One of the key things about Women in Blockchain Talks is that we're women-led, or it's women-led, women-focused, but we're open to all genders, because I'm British Jamaican, British Caribbean, and as the Caribbeans like to say, one hand cannot clap. So I'm all about being a human being first, but at the end of the day, you know, the numbers speak for themselves, and that's the reason why we are women-led, but all genders are welcome in my community. All right, so now on to the next part. What is cryptocurrency and what is blockchain? So I think the best way to describe blockchain, first of all, is, because like I said, I'm all about education, and I'm all about simplifying it as much as possible, because if I can simplify it, then more people will be open to hearing more about it and won't feel so overwhelmed. So I see blockchain is technology. It's the technology that underpins cryptocurrencies. And I would describe blockchain as a train track, right? So you got the train track, and then you got the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency is the train, right? So without the track, the train can't run. So blockchain, as I touched upon before, it's a DLT technology. DLT stands for distributed ledger technology. Now, not all DLTs are blockchains or decentralized blockchains. So what is blockchain exactly? Well, blockchain, you can have public, you can have hybrid, and you can have private. And so when I talk about blockchain, I'm talking about the public version. So I'm talking about the Bitcoin, I'm talking about the Ethereum, I'm talking about Cardano, I'm talking about Polkadot, those protocols, those platforms, and those are decentralized DLTs, decentralized blockchains. And a blockchain ultimately is a ledger where data is recorded of certain transactions, and it provides a level of transparency, trackability, and traceability for those individuals who want to track that data for whatever reason. And it has had a huge impact within the financial world, blockchain, and its different protocols on the blockchain, because of course there's more than one blockchain. So Bitcoin, of course, is the first use case study of blockchain, and it's had a huge impact in regards to the way that we transact and engage with money, electronic money, because we was always moving towards an electronic version of money. How many of us use cash these days? Most times we are using a digital form of fiat currency. So, you know, cryptocurrency is an evolution. And what I love about the case study of Bitcoin ultimately is that it belongs to no government. It belongs to the people, for the people, by the people, so to speak. So that's what I would describe blockchain and cryptocurrency. So yeah, I'm sure others will expand on that question.
Thanks for sharing. So I still remember when Bitcoin was launched soon after the 2008 financial crisis. And that's personally why I believe in this emerging technology, as it has the power to transform the world of regulators to monitor systemic risk. So just to summarize what Lavinia was saying, so cryptocurrency is a digital asset, and blockchain is like a database to store all those transactions, and that's why it's a chain of all the blocks. So just for those who are not familiar with these terms. And that leads to our next questions for Lamar. Welcome, Lamar. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what are the benefits of blockchain that people should know? And how does blockchain bring social benefits of emerging countries' economies?
Thank you so much, Rachel. Yeah, so I'm Lamar. I've been in the Web3 space, or we didn't call it Web3 back then. It was only the crypto space. So I've been around for almost 8 years. I started out as an investor. So the first time I heard about Bitcoin, I was working as a team leader at DHL. I was working the night shift, and then my cousin, he pinged me and said that, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin and blockchain? Then as soon as I looked into it, I remember it was 5 a.m. in the morning. I had 1 more hour to go. So as soon as I understood what it is, I dropped my job the same day. Yeah, so because it's perfectly aligned with me and what I like and how I see, how I want to see the future. And that's exactly what blockchain can provide for us. And from that day on, I've been starting to build, learn more, and trying to build a great network and bring in more people that can actually help me build amazing stuff for the future. So I've been as an advisor for a couple of Web3 projects, only projects that actually wants to do something for the tech, for people, or for the planet. So that's my 3 core principles when it comes to Web3, and I think those principles are very well aligned with what Web3, or how I see Web3 and a lot of other people sees Web3. Then I think back in October, November, our network, we start talking about what's missing in the Web3 space. Then we thought that, okay, let's show people how we can actually tackle big problems, leveraging blockchain tech. It doesn't need to be complicated. And one of the things were that we said there is a huge problem today, and that's how people see other people. So say the job market, it's not even. Everyone can't just jump into any market and have the same chance. So that's one of the use cases for blockchain, where you can actually leverage NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and issue out avatars to people, because now you don't know who that person is, and you're not programmed to think in a certain way when you see an avatar. So it's much harder for you to actually be biased when it comes to that, and that itself evens the playground for everyone. Everyone can actually jump in. It's not about how old you are, what gender, or what location. Like, no matter who you are, you can actually jump in with what you currently know and start to implement it in the Web3 space. So, and one of the main things with blockchain, I call it Web3, sorry for that, but we can say blockchain to make it easier for everyone. So one of the main things are that actually people think it's much harder than it is. So it's not for some few people, some coders, or it's for everyone. It's all about, blockchain is a technology that everyone can leverage. It's not the solution for everything. It's not that it's going to save us from everything, but what it can actually do is that, say you're a writer, you're a creator, you can be like, no matter what industry you come from, you can actually enter this space and do what you did previously, just do it in this space. There is so much people that actually wants to jump in and work together with other people to create something amazing. Yeah, so now I've been ramping around on everything. So let's get back to your question, Rachel, and that's what are the benefits of blockchain? I would say there is endless of benefits if it's used in the right way. One of the main things I would suggest is that there is we can achieve much more transparency if we leverage blockchain technology, and also it helps to prevent risk of cheating. So one of the things there is that, take elections. we have elections. There is so much talk, so much money is spent on each election. I think the last US election cost around $14.9 billion. So imagine how many hospitals you could build for $14.9 billion. And there is so much talk about what that people cheat or people are not aligned with if the system works, and that can today be solved by smart contracts. A simple smart contract costs you $100 to deploy on a public chain, and you can actually save $14.9 billion. So now the question is, why aren't we doing that? So blockchain on its own, it can do amazing things for us. The only thing is that there is certain people that actually don't want it, because transparency isn't good for everyone. It's good for people, it's beneficial for a lot of people, but for some entities, governments and so on, that doesn't work, because then you can't control people in the same way. And I can go on for ages when it comes to blockchain. I love the blockchain space. So let me just move on to your second question. There is how blockchain can bring social benefits to emerging economies. So one of the things are that you can actually it lowers the entry point for a lot of people. So if I give you an example, take India. India have amazing talents, but the overall picture is that because I have friends there and their parents tell them that, hey, you should go study, become a chartered accountant, become an engineer, become a doctor and so on, and that's amazing. But today it's very hard to compete with blockchain, because the most powerful tool it has is the incentive. So there I can give you an example on that. You go study for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, depending on, and then you enter a job market. You have a lot of people that actually tries to get the same job as you. And then we have blockchain. You go study something in the space for 6 months, and then you actually get 10K, 15K a month. So it's impossible to compete with blockchain. You can't do that. And how it benefits people, say in Africa, in Central Asia, is that you give them a tool, they get the knowledge, and they can actually start making money for themselves, provide for themselves, for their family. So one of the examples is that when the Taliban came to Afghanistan, they took over there. Me and Borderless Blockchain Alliance, we bought education for 200 girls over there. So we were thinking, okay, if we're gonna collect money and just send them, that will not last for long. But if we actually provide them the necessary education that they can go and take and do for 6 months, 1 year, then they can actually enter the job market very easily, because everyone is after blockchain talent today. There is almost no blockchain talent. It's not like we're gonna have a lot of blockchain talent in the upcoming years. And the more we get, the more we will need blockchain talent, because every industry, every company tries to make the move at the moment. And by providing education to people, they can start doing amazing things. They can not just earn money, they can actually build stuff for other people, for themselves, for the future, for the upcoming generation. Then we have Africa. Take Nigeria as an example. Nigeria, their population has grown in 100 years from 11 million to 200 million people. They have amazing talents, amazing technical writers, and before it was very hard for them to actually use those skills and do something with it. But today we see them everywhere in the Web3 space, and they provide amazing services to a lot of big projects that you see out there, and they make good money. So it's not about we have an average salary in Nigeria of $300. Now we can get the same salary as people get in Europe or the States. So I would say it's endless benefits. It's so much you can do with it. It's all about what we use it for.
Yeah, indeed. And I fully agree that one of the reasons why I love blockchain is that it can eliminate poverty and corruption, and many more other benefits of blockchain is banking the unbanked. Financial literacy for underrepresented and marginalized groups is the start of building inclusion. So let's get to our next question for Niharika. Welcome, Niharika. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what role do you see crypto and blockchain playing in the diversity and inclusion efforts?
All right. Thanks a lot, Rachel. So glad to be here and see so many people in the audience. So my name is Niharika and I originally come from India. And at the moment I'm in Zurich. And I got into the blockchain space when I was studying my bachelor's around 2016. So it's been what, like 7-ish years? And I'm still going very strong. There have been many ups and downs along the way in the industry. People throw rocks and stones at it, call it scam and whatnot, but I still believe in the power of blockchain. So yeah, I'm quite a proponent there. And at the moment I work with Decentology. It's a Silicon Valley based startup and I work with them as a product and a community manager. So coming to your question now, so what role do I see crypto and blockchain playing in the diversity and inclusion efforts? So one of the best ultimate things I love about this technology is the fact that you can be anonymous. So what I say right now is generally when you're working, you're going out, some people think that women are not as good as men. It's a very common bias when you are working in a male dominant society. The same point of view you put forward and a man puts forward, it might, depending where you are, it might be weighed differently. But in the blockchain space, as far as I've seen, the beauty of being anonymous is that you never know who's behind the screen, like if it's a man, if it's a woman. And the power of this is actually seen on Twitter. Most of the Web3 or blockchain community resides on Twitter as of today. And most of the accounts you would see, they would put up a different kind of a profile picture. You can't tell if it's a real, you can't tell anything about them. They would be sitting somewhere in some corner of the world. I don't know, maybe in Croatia, tweeting from a beach or something. And so that's the thing, like nobody will be able to judge you based on your gender or your race, where you come from, and those kinds of things. That's become quite possible. The other things are, I see a lot of protocols, a lot of companies such as Polkadot, even Decentology, they make efforts, special efforts to onboard more and more women. So by having different scholarship programs, for example, we recently had a hackathon in which all the women who made a successful submission, we gave them a scholarship for an EDX blockchain fundamentals course. And also, we also partnered with other entities and DAOs such as Surge Women. And then we are just going out of our way also sometimes to, promote more and more women into the space. And as of now in the company, the balance of the team is such that we are more women than men, and it's working out quite well for us.
Great, thank you for sharing. So Lavinia, do you want to share a little bit, elaborate a little bit for the question that Andrew has, which is a great question. Anonymity contradicts transparency and traceability.
Yeah, we have to remember that technology, if we break it down, really break it down, it's about data. And so, yes, one could argue there is a contradiction, but it's not a contradiction of the data. The data is the data, right? And anonymity, it can work for you or it can work against you. I know of many women who use anonymity in the blockchain space because they feel that they will have more opportunities if their gender is unknown. And there are bad actors in every industry, in every space, including blockchain, who will use anonymity to create and conduct crime, right? But the truth of the matter is, and this is something that has happened to me, and I did something about it. And in doing it, I created the first case law in the UK High Courts to put an injunction on my NFT. So I have two NFT, Boss Beauty NFTs. Boss Beauty is one of the big NFT projects out there, blue chip projects out there. And I was gifted two NFTs, and someone went into my wallet and stole my NFTs. Anyhow, I contracted a company who basically was able to trace my NFTs via the blockchain. So I know exactly where they are. The question is, who are the individuals behind the name of those wallets, right? And so there is an ongoing investigation. And even though I've created case law by putting an injunction on my NFTs, so now those persons are known legally, they cannot move it. That doesn't mean that they won't, but if they do, they're actually breaking the law. That is what I took to the high courts. And I'm the first person so far in the world to have done that, okay? Because I'm tired of criminals in this space using anonymity to disrupt it, and also, you know, take away assets from individuals, particularly women who already have a big fear about coming into this space and losing assets anyway. So it's time to fight back. But the point being is, it's the data and anonymity. Anyone can have anonymity in any area outside of tech, right? But ultimately, transparency, trackability, and traceability still can happen with the data, because it's data that we're dealing with. So I hope that answers your question. I know my fellow panelist has put something into the chat to give her point of view.
So Niharika mentioned here's her hot take. If we truly value 100% transparency, we will be okay with Facebook knowing everything about us. Therefore, she thinks that there are some things that should rather remain anonymous. However, knowing the provenance of data and what truly occurred on chain matters rather than knowing the identity of the person. We shouldn't conflate identity with transparency.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So while we were on the topic NFT, I want to talk a little bit more about it, because I do believe that NFT will drive crypto and Web3 to the masses. Many big brands are now using NFT to engage with their customers. So you may already have heard this term before from products or services that you buy from, for example, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Louis Vuitton, Tinder, and so on. Trading in NFTs spiked since last year. There's a misconception that NFT is just an artwork, though. But there's so much more to it. So Lavinia, back to you again. Could you please explain what NFTs are and how they differ from cryptocurrency?
Of course. So NFTs, non-fungible token, token. So it belongs within. What I love about blockchain, it's a technology, of course, but there's different elements of blockchain. So you've got there are individuals who are focused solely on data provenance and also on identity. You know, how are we using blockchain to create, not only create identity, but also maintain our identity and also provenance of our data, which is a part of our identity. And then, of course, there's people who are interested in smart contracts, in that technical element, tokenization, okay, and then the creator economy of NFTs. Now, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, it does fall under tokenization. It is a form of a token ultimately. And then of course you've got cryptocurrencies, and there's some people who are solely interested in the trading of cryptocurrencies. So blockchain in and of itself has become an ecosystem. And this is what excites me so much, because whatever ideas that you have, you probably can implement it within the blockchain arena. It's, you know, this is a new space. It's open to all. And like I said before, it's not about who do I need to ask permission, who's the gatekeeper, who's going to let me in, you know? Anyway, back to Rachel's question. So when we talk about, for example, cryptocurrencies, you can have there's many Bitcoins, you know, there's a certain amount of Bitcoins that have been mined, okay? And then of course it can be broken into parts, Satoshis, they're called, right? The same thing with DOT, the same thing with Ethereum, right? And so that is just a token. Non-fungible basically means that there is a distinct feature to it. It cannot be broken down. So the best way to describe this is a £5 note or fiat currency. You know, so cryptocurrency, fiat currency is the money that we use generally in our day-to-day life, and it's aligned to a government. If you don't know what fiat currency is, so we're talking about the yen, we're talking about the dollar, we're talking about the euro, we're talking about the pound, right? So you could take £5 and that can be broken into £1, right? Or 6 50p pieces. You take something like the Mona Lisa, that is non-fungible, right? Because as a whole, it has value. That is what gives it its value as a whole, not in parts. If you was to cut the Mona Lisa into different parts, it doesn't equate to the parts and how much that part, how many parts, and then the value of each part then equally in the whole. No, it loses its value straight away. So that is the key with non-fungible tokens. And so non-fungible tokens has to be taken as a whole. And there are distinct features about a non-fungible token asset that stands it apart from others. And in doing that, that is what gives it its value. And so when NFTs first came out, I was working for the company that I had, you know, I had the luck to start with. And one of the guys there, he is an artist, and actually he's a founder of one of a very popular NFT project now, Sup Docs. And his name is Frankie Nines, if anyone is big in the NFT world. Anyway, he gifted me a crypto kitty. And at the time I was like, what is this? I have no idea what I'm dealing with. It was on a piece of paper that was printed out. I had to put my details in. I remember I folded up that piece of paper. I put it somewhere. It was Christmas time. And I said, I'm going to deal with this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try. And up to now, I do not know where that piece of paper is. I know it is in my house somewhere, but I don't know where it is. But the point being is CryptoKitties was one of the first NFTs out there. So that's how I knew about NFTs, but it was only last year, 2020, this year is 2022. Yeah, 22. So 2021, 2020 and 2021, that NFTs really started to blow up. And with CryptoKitties, it was a collectible. And then I think one of the reasons why it really started to blow up is because of the smart contract and the fact that artists were able to put an element into the smart contract to say, whatever happens with my NFT, when it's sold on the secondary market, I'll be able to get 10% back. This is a powerful thing. This is called passive income, you know? People are finally able to utilize their creativity using NFTs, using the smart contract, using blockchain, you know, this new concept to make money, and not just make money as a one-off, but make money from the secondary market from each sales. This is so powerful, so powerful. And I think that's one of the reasons why it blew up in 2021. In 2021. So that's basically what an NFT is. And there's different forms of NFTs. You can have music NFTs, you can have GIFs, you can even have a tweet. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, he created an NFT of the first ever tweet. You know, you can't duplicate that. So yeah, it's for me, NFTs are very, very powerful. And now that we're moving more into the metaverse, even more so.
Yeah, definitely. So also for any business owners here who want to look into using NFTs for your business, it's volatile. So if you don't want to lose your customers by letting them buy your NFTs, because there's a chance of losing a lot of money, it's better to give them, just like what Lavinia said. I personally have also been gifted an NFT before that's worth more than $4,000 US last time I checked. So it is a way it is a beneficial way for growth as well. But please do due diligence before collaborating with any agencies that claim to be NFT experts. So, and also make sure that you keep your safety keys very safe. So Lavinia, continue with you. We only have like 15 minutes, so we have to go through a little bit faster. So for those who are interested in learning how to invest in crypto and NFT, what recommendations would you give them on where to start?
Well, investment 101 is only invest what you can afford to lose. Join a community, you know, Decentology, Man Connect, Women in Blockchain Talks, where it's not just one voice, right? Like I created this community, but my key thing is that it's about have a voice. You know, there's many voices in this space, and my objective is to bring many voices to many people. So that way you're not just hearing what I think, you know, what I think goes. I don't roll like that. You know, I want you to do your due diligence. I want you to dive down the rabbit hole. If you're not feeling overwhelmed, you're not doing it properly, to be quite honest with you. So read, join communities, ask questions from different people. And, you know, it's become a lot more simplified over the years in regards to the apps that is out there that will help you to purchase your first crypto. You can do 10 pounds a month. If that's all you can afford, do 10 pounds a month of purchasing crypto. You know, we have an NFT project within Women in Blockchain Talks, which is very cost effective. And we've done it that way because there's a lot of mad projects out there with astounding amounts of money. The objective is to wet your feet, learn, and then as you become more confident, dive in. But investment 101 or investing 101, don't commit more than what you're able to afford to lose, because you can lose, and that is the reality.
Yes, I agree that it's best to start by creating a wallet and play around with it. I believe there's also even a platform that you can use with fake money just to play around with it. I forgot the name of it, but yes. So the next question, I just want to pass it on to Lamar. We're going to talk about equality. So Lamar is using blockchain technology to provide equal opportunities anywhere in the world. Can you please share some existing examples of how blockchain has the ability to tackle inequality?
Yeah, definitely. So today, what we see in the blockchain space, most of it is focused on money. How can people make more money? But the real power is in education. And what we try to do is to provide free education for people through our different partners, because the more people that actually understands what it can do, the better use cases we have. So if people are gonna enter the space right now and they're gonna learn how to invest, like, sure, that's really good for you and for the people that are behind the projects. But that will not, you will not leverage the tech. You will not do something great with it because you don't know how to do it. So I would say the main thing there is education. And what we basically do is that we try to take people, no matter where they are, and provide them whatever they need. So say someone is in Nigeria, I took as an example before, we see what they can do and we provide them that, because even if we have this tech, we are still in the old ways of doing things. So what I mean by that is that even if we have a new tech like blockchain, nothing has changed. People think that a lot of things has changed, especially people in the space, but it hasn't. Inequality still exists, and we haven't tackled that yet. So one of the main things there are education, because if you have if everyone gets proper education, then people don't need to have any excuses. And that's one of the main things to tackle inequality today. I would say it's not even about blockchain, it's about not having excuses. So let me give an example there. There is a lot of talks that we have two little women in Web3 and in blockchain. 100% I agree on that. But how can we tackle that? And that's to not have excuses, because now we have a space like Web3 where everyone can do exactly as they please. So as long as you don't have any excuses, I would say that's where you should start. Then we can talk about certain parts of that. But I would say the main thing, what I've seen with what we did with the Borderless Blockchain Alliance, is that if you look through our team, we have people, some of them didn't have any blockchain knowledge, but we have people all over. We have a woman, male, we have young, I think our youngest members are 18, 19 years old without any prior blockchain experience, but they work with us. And it's all about understanding that each person has that kind of value and they can actually do something about it in the Web3 space. Before you didn't have that chance. But right now, when it comes to the Web3 space, you can actually do exactly as you please. Let me give you an example on that. I have a friend in my network. He's around 65 years old. He was a writer before, and he entered this space 6 months ago. And he asked me the question, what can I do? This is not for me. I don't see blockchain be a place for me. I said, why not? And he replied that, I don't know what it is. I said, what do you like to do? And he said, I like to write. I say, amazing. Get out there, be on LinkedIn, post about what you learned, and you're going to end up with something you like. And now I think he writes for one of the biggest blockchain news agencies and makes, I don't know, 6-7K a month for doing what he likes. And that's the same when it comes to say women in tech. There is a lot of women that can actually enter the space just by accepting that they know. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people have, I call it excuses, because you can actually come in here and do as you please. I have a very close friend, Bernice. She's not in the Web3 space, but now she's one of the most knowledgeable people in the space that I know, because she understood that, okay, this is a new space and this is for me. I can find my place in this space. So it's not much of what the tech can do, it's about what we can do for ourselves. So I'd say no excuses. That's the main thing. That's where we start, because as long as we have excuses, how can you achieve anything? You can't, it's not like I can give you something. That won't help. So you have to start with yourself. And I've seen it, a lot of people have seen it. So that's why I'm 100% sure when I say that everyone, Web3 is for everyone, no matter who you are, no matter where you live. So, and we have proven that a lot of times. So that's why the only thing I want for people is to not have excuses, just enter the space. And if you don't know how to enter the space, hook me up on LinkedIn and I will present you to whoever you want, and I will open up the doors for you just to show you that you can do it.
So I have quite a few more questions and we have 10 more minutes. So let's get to the next question. So actually, I do quickly want to answer that someone had about Web3. So Web1 is when we could only read from the internet in the 90s when internet just started. Web2 is the current state of the majority of internet where we could read and write. But imagine if one day LinkedIn decides to remove your account, you will lose all of your data and content. That moves us to Web3, the current, well, the next generation, where you can read, write, and own, so users have control on their data and content. So right now, big tech companies own most of the internet of Web2 and can monetize using our data and content. But on Web3, the data and content is unique to the owner. So users can directly monetize from their own work, and same for businesses. For example, if your work has a resale, you still can get a cut from it. So that's the whole point when we talked about decentralization. So Niharika, it's been argued that it's not a matter of if, but when that most Web2 platforms that don't adopt will just die out. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Change is like the only thing that's constant in the world, right? And if I name a bunch of companies such as Kodak, Nokia, Blockbuster, so if you just take a moment and think about them, like what's this one thing that they have common in them? They were once very dominating in the whole market. They had like a huge market share. and now they're nowhere to be seen. So why is that exactly? So one of the main reasons is because they fail to innovate and adapt. So here again, now we're again at a cusp of technological revolution, which begs for companies, legacy companies, and the already established ones to rethink their business models and think, are they doing anything to upgrade themselves or innovate? Or do they find that their users are moving away from them to someone else, to some other company? And it's very hard because people want to run business as usual. Nobody likes change. But then by the time they realize that, oh, like this other technology has completely, overtaken us, it's already too late by that time. So I would suggest all the decision makers, people who have a board chair, to consider, does blockchain make sense for them? And it's not necessary that it will. Maybe not right now, maybe few years from now it might, but the question still exists. Like, if it makes sense, is there something you can do about it? If you're not going to do about it, someone else will. So at the end of the day, only the fittest will survive, and that's not just biologically true, it's also true in business. It's a wild west. So yeah, you should consider if blockchain is something that can help your business or not. Otherwise, you will be just another Blockbuster or Kodak.
Exactly. Well, I do believe that it's an evolution of the web. Like, I personally don't think that the Web 2 platforms will be removed. It's just an evolution that they just have to, advance their products and services as well. So we mentioned before that blockchain has the potential to transform many businesses. It's a very powerful business tool, as it increases efficiency while it decreases costs. And as a standalone technology, it can verify and track transactions. Now, and Lori was asked, which is very arguable right now because of all the energy that blockchain is using. So she's asking, I was wondering what the panelists say to those who assert that the technology is harmful to the planet. There has been a point that of hesitation for her. Any take from the speakers?
If the technology is nah, it's not. Even if we go to, say, Bitcoin, that's where most people argue that it's not good for the planet and so on. That's just not true. If we see how much energy that's needed for other industries, that's nothing. And the use cases is and what it have opened up, that's a lot of new doors have opened up for what we can do for the planet if we leverage the tech. So I would say no, definitely not. It's even if some blockchains consume, especially proof of works, they consume a lot of energy. I wouldn't say that people should have that as an argument to not embrace this tech, because you have to see what it can actually do. You can tackle environmental crisis, you can tackle poverty, you can tackle almost everything. You can either replace or enhance everything that exists today. So imagine just how much we can do for people, as long as what we build, if we can take the value there and actually invest it back in people, then yes. So I would say nah, that's nothing one should actually think of when it comes to that. Only a way for the mass media to actually keep one away from Web3 and blockchain.
So we only have a couple of more minutes, but I do want to squeeze two more questions before we go, which is on the business front and also Web3 developer. So the final question I have for Lavinia is, obviously it's a very powerful business tool. So can you share some examples, like world cases that actually benefits the businesses, for example, supply chain management or cybersecurity?
I can't talk so much on cybersecurity. So you want to know use cases, how blockchain is adding to the business world?
Yeah, those were just an example. You can give other examples. For example, like how blockchain can actually transform businesses.
Well, let's look at supply chain. A lot of people want to know, there's a company out there called AgriLedger, and what she talks about, the CEO, Genevieve Livelle, and what I like about what she talks about is not just focusing on the supply chain of agriculture, it's looking at the value chain. Because we talk about transparent, and Lamar has touched on this a lot. We talk about the equity, the sharing of equity of wealth, of resources. And I think supply chain, particularly agriculture, is a great use case study in regards to I, as an individual, I want to know where my food is coming from. Number one, if a company is using blockchain, that allows me to be able to have more transparency about, the farm to my plate, so to speak. Number two, we look at the using of blockchain removes the middleman. And so therefore there's more transparency about how much that farmer is actually receiving for their work, right? We lived in a world before where the middleman, it was a huge business. Now it's not. For some parties, some parts of the industry, of certain industry, yes, the middleman is always going to be important. But what the blockchain has done is just removed that that element, that the need for that element. And so for someone who's interested or cares about how much is that farmer getting, they're able to see that. And AgriLedger promotes that. So it's not just about the supply chain from plate, earth to plate, but also the value chain of how much each party is getting and visibility and traceability on that. So that's a case, that's a use case study. And the UN talks about that a lot via their SDGs, the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals.
Thank you. And the final question, and apologies that we are running out of time, but if you can still stay behind, I would still like to cover final question for Niharika. So in terms of the work that you do, you're bringing JavaScript developers into. So could you share a little bit about how can people become Web3 developers?
Yeah, of course. So it's let me start with the more general thing. So if you want to be anything in Web3, just start doing it. Like if you want to be a dev, for example, just start developing. Read blogs, follow relevant people on Twitter, watch tutorials, build your own portfolio. At Decentology, we created the Hyperverse, where the developers can build Web3 applications using JavaScript. And they don't need to know anything about smart contract code to start developing in the first place. So I would also invite the potential developers to check out the Hyperverse on our Discord, and it's I'll post the link in chat. So anything you want to be, that's my life mantra. Anything you want to be, just start being, and follow your curiosity, and things start manifesting.
Great, thank you so much. So thank you all so much for taking your time and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. And thank you everyone for taking your time for joining us. Hopefully it's been useful to you and you will learn more about crypto and blockchain. So before you go, Lavinia is going to share a virtual event on blockchain that's valued at £10, open for everyone who has been here. So I'm going to share that in the chat, and perhaps Lavinia, you can share, what can people learn from that virtual event in case they're interested in joining.
So yeah, so these virtual events, we're global, right? And there's so many questions, so many thoughts. We're a very active community. So I invite you to come to this virtual event. The next one is on Monday, the 25th of April. It's at 12:30 p.m. BST, and it's called the Inside Track. And so it's just an opportunity for you to come along and get questions answered, talk about anything that's going on in the news, and to do it in a collective, because again, that's what it's all about, being collective, being community minded, asking questions, hearing answers from different places, different sources, so that you can then make up your own mind as to what the right direction is for you, or to help your understanding. So yeah, I can share the link in, oh yeah, you've got it. Yeah, and then also there's an ebook, what has blockchain got to do with me? It's just an overview, and it's actually translated in Spanish, in Mandarin, and also in I can't remember the other one, Arabic, because we talk so much about diversity and inclusion, but sometimes we forget that languages is also about diversity and inclusion, and this space is very anglicized, meaning white, English speaking. And so I'm doing my best to help as many people come into this space by bringing different languages. So yeah, there you go. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry that we were having, time constraints. There were still so many questions that the audience wanted to know. But if there are still some final questions and you don't have to go yet, please reach out in the chat, and I'm more than welcome to ask questions. But if you do have to go, which I totally understand, thank you so much for joining us again, and thank you again to speakers for sharing your knowledge and time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.